TV salon.
Loading the lists.
Yes. So welcome. It's a Sunday night, and we are live.
Double checking, and yes, I am muted.
And then one click to change that.
Wait lang.
Let me reshare the link, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, now this time it's Kylie Disco TV that keeps becoming live.
I think that's better than your smooth jazz.
Yeah, but I'm now not seeing the paper. There. Okay. Hey, Pico.
Hello, Pico. Welcome.
Good evening to you too, dear sir.
This one's it's the same site we used before, but then it's like filtered to 2010. But then you still have to look at the start year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we have David to thank for this wide range of cartoon-focused episodes. He started every decade from the 80s.
And, sent them in individually.
Yeah, so they are individual entries.
Pico says, stay a while and listen.
Whoa.
And then we combine it with a different show and say, but the best seat is reserved for the storyteller.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oops, and then let me edit this also, because it means I can tag you, but it's not working because Facebook is buggy. There, I can edit post at this point. Okay.
Mandatory ding dong.
Pico, did you watch the Queens Who Like to Watch of oh my god, what's the makeup show? But where they found out, where they got the ding dong statement. My gosh. So I'm so happy.
Glow up.
Glow up, yes, glow up. So I'm so happy, amused that Katya made that the name of her single. Even though her I feel like her single is really best experienced as a video and not just as a song, not as an audio experience. Oh my god, you haven't? Okay, then you have to watch it. So yeah, I think watch the first. Well, there are two of them, so might as well watch both episodes of the YouTube episodes of Queens Who Watch, and then when they watch Glow Up, and then you'll see where Ding Dong.
But should he watch Glow Up first?
No, it's all right. Just watch the videos. I mean, I do that for a lot of like Trixie and Katya stuff, and then
hey, Mashu.
Oh, Mashu. Hello, good evening. Not so. We're all sober tonight, huh?
We only have water tonight because there is work tomorrow.
Yeah. Hello, Alfred. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Alfred.
We're just waiting for folks to. We're just giving some time for people to dial in for the conference to join the show. And then we'll start by like 9:10. Pico just watch for the reference. Yeah, although Glow Up is still a fun show, but from a Trixie and Katya fan perspective, just watch the YouTube summaries. So fun, so fun. Yeah, talking about cartoons today. Although I know I skimmed over the list before the show, and then a lot of them, there are a lot of shows that I just don't know what they are. And that's a consequence of our age, and like we didn't exactly watch something.
Queens Who Like to Watch.
Yes, Ings. Hello. And see, yeah, that's why we're trying to explain why Ding Dong is such a big thing.
Although the Philippines knew Ding Dong was big even before the shows did it, because we had it for peanuts.
Ha! Mashu, only one bottle of beer. Okay. In
That's how it
truth,
starts.
I gotta warn you.
That's
you
how
know,
it starts.
alcohol, it can help you get to sleep quicker for some people, but it often makes your sleep shallower.
Yeah.
So there's a bigger chance you'll wake up.
Yeah.
So
Or worse, you'll feel the need to pee. Then you wake up.
that's the more practical problem. So we're just looking out for you. Don't overdo it. Okay. Especially if you need to rest. There's still people in the show. It's 9:10. We should start.
Okay, let's start. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
Internet.
My mouth is falling apart.
Internet. This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us, we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. So we're spending the next 30 minutes on the 89th episode talking about cartoons from the year
the decade from the 2010s. So
2010s.
it's a fairly wide range, but surprisingly, not like a lot of shows that we remember or that I think we know. Hello, Carlo. Thanks for joining. And then, okay, I'm sorry, Karen, but I now distrust everybody with your last name because I think you're all bots.
But that was because we're not sure yet. So, but you're actually commenting something related. So.
No, not really. No, it's related, but I think it's algorithmically driven. But we'll see. We'll see.
Hard to tell.
Prove if you're not a robot, press 1.
But yes, Ings, this is our show and not yours. But we are not using that tagline because
we're not pirates in that regard.
And we don't have post-production.
Yes.
So we will go through lists of different shows that we know.
Well, different cartoons specifically.
And we will try to limit ourselves only to shows that started within that area.
Yes. There's a lot of shows that naturally crossed over that were still airing in the 2010s.
Or shows that became popular by the 2010s but started earlier.
Or even had revival seasons, because like at the top of this list was Futurama, and like technically it started before the 2000s, but yes, I recognize it had a revival.
Oh my God, Mina! And Mina pressed 1.
Hey, thank you for non-robots. Hello, Mina. Hello, David. And David is important because David suggested this and all other topics, asking us to talk about cartoons. So without further ado,
let's start with...
we skipped the first item because the first legit 2010 cartoon on this ranker website is, of course, Rick and Morty, started in 2013.
Okay, I will share that for me, at first, I did not think I would enjoy it as much as I would have. When I first saw clips and all this of Rick and Morty, I was like, whatever that is. But then when we actually watched the episode, that just blew me away. Smartest writing I've ever seen. The pacing, the timing, and even you do fall in love with the art style as it goes along.
Yes.
It was surprising. I did not expect to like it as much as I did.
I mean, as seemingly random and often crazy or even surreal a lot of the episodes are, but they're also very thematic. Oh, we're at 10.
We're at 10!
Yay! Hello, everyone.
We haven't... This is so the symbol of 2020.
Poor true guy. He's about. Nope.
Thank you for reaching 10 viewers. But yeah, going back.
Yeah. But it's funny how each episode started to become more and more thematic and how it would explore different pop culture tropes and stuff. And hence you have things like, I mean, Anatomy Park is awfully a riff on Jurassic Park and all these things. And their episode on time travel, there are many episodes on time travel, but there's that particular episode on time travel and parallel universes that is amazeballs. So all these things, right?
And then every episode is in a way its own bottle episode. I mean, you can enjoy it as it is, but they still interconnect to the overall scheme of things if you've been watching long enough.
But at the same time, you wonder, there is I always feel like there's an equal possibility that the Rick and Morty you are watching in this particular episode is yet another alternate universe Rick and Morty. Therefore, continuity is not important.
Yes.
And wow, I see Kenneth is here. Paul is here. Hello, Paul. Thank you for joining. And see, Abby Del Rosario, you're obviously a bot because you've given the exact same comment based on the title of this episode. I am fascinated to understand how you are working. Okay, so Yeah. So the big thing with Rick and Morty, and it's an ongoing show, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, for some it's an acquired taste, I think. But if you get through, I think the first 3 episodes, then you'll come to appreciate how crazy awesome the show is.
I dare even say if you understood the first few episodes.
That is true,
then
though.
you will appreciate.
The references get a little obscure sometimes.
And
I mean, just the Cronenberg reality.
And then sometimes the jokes are smarter despite sounding crass. So it takes a certain type of person.
But there's a lot of like, they just come one after the other very quickly in succession, and then you gotta keep up. But we still super love it. We've explored some of the expanded Rick and Morty media in terms of the board games that have been created for different episodes. And personally, I read the graphic novels. They're quite awesome. The D&D Rick and Morty crossover.
Oh, that was really good.
Is super brilliant. It is a love story to both Rick and Morty and Dungeons and Dragons. And of course, there is a Dungeons and Dragons module.
Yeah, with playable characters based on the show, which actually makes sense. So it's worth checking out.
Yep.
Simpsons is in the list, but that's 1989.
Because it still hasn't ended.
So we're moving to, Archer's in the list, but that's 2009. So
Just missed it, guys. We can't talk about Archer yet.
Family Guy, nope. Bob's Burgers, 2011.
I watched a few episodes of Bob's Burgers, and it's okay. I mean, like, I get it. It's sort of like in that genre of entertainment that's kind of Simpsons-ish. I know it's highly memed at this point. A lot of people love it. And I don't not like it. It's just I just never really got into it.
Yeah, I had former office mates who were huge Bob's Burgers fans, and I never really connected with the show. Maybe it's because I just wanted something a bit more of a different genre. Than
maybe. I mean, like, it's a very particular story segment, and then obviously it's an immigrant sort of American immigrant tale, but I couldn't quite get into it. Oh, hello, RJ. And I think we're going to get to that item.
So moving forward, South Park is listed. That's 1997, so that's a no. American Dad is 2005, so that's a no. Okay, I will stop reading out the ones that are outside.
Yeah. But
Gravity
this
Falls.
list is quite strong. Okay.
Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls, I think, I mean, it's the sort of mystery narrative they built was way bigger than expected. And then I feel like it didn't have enough time to really flesh it out. They had to wrap up. I feel like it had to wrap up quicker than it could have. But we super I mean, I super enjoyed it. And then when Toby and I kind of explored the whole mystery together, it was definitely fulfilling. I think it could have benefited from being maybe a tighter serialized story, because the first season did feel a little still episodic because, again, it's a cartoon. It was on Disney Channel, but yeah, the overall narrative kind of worked for me. I mean, and I don't think it's like it's not my favorite. It's like I respect where it went. I super enjoyed it, but then I think I didn't get too sucked into the meta plot and like trying to dissect the title cards and the outro screens and stuff. So yeah,
I wasn't able to jump in that much into it. I like the general idea, but for someone who likes, cryptids and all that,
weeping? Okay.
I actually didn't connect to it as much as I thought I should.
But I love waddles. Wait.
And suddenly I'm alone.
But I did invest in a Waddles figure, but I wish he were bigger.
And we keep it in the bag
because he's gonna get super dusty. So the bag is like already super dusty.
But you better wash your hands.
Yeah. So
you better wash your hands.
Okay.
So while you're there, because you can still hear us, I'll go through some of the comments. Quick pass through the comments. We have RJ, of course, mentioning BoJack. We'll get to that later. Paul Tanko shares, I couldn't get into Bob's Burgers as much as I wanted to. Same for me. I just couldn't. Kenny shares, I love Bob's Burger. It's kind of an adult cartoon that you can just sit back and relax.
Which I feel like I think it occupies a niche similar to The Simpsons to me, but I think The Simpsons is easier to jump in and out because the gags are faster.
Okay.
I think that's me.
And then Pico shares year for more focused on, okay, that's anime, so we'll skip that. I'm sorry. The last thing you listed, we were just about to talk about it.
Yeah.
So let's just jump back here. which is Adventure Time. It started 2010.
Exactly 2010. And then we really fell into the rabbit hole of Adventure Time.
Oh yeah.
And then I mean that then this really started. It was like super random episodic in the beginning, but the slow building meta plot, the that whole narrative of what exactly the land of Oo is
Mhm.
and the like just really grew and just got deeper. And I think
Mhm.
I feel like peak Adventure Time was like season 3 and 4, and like the way the story was coming out was amazing.
You had those glimpses of the Mushroom Wars. You had sudden realizations that the snail was appearing in every
Oh my
episode
god, the
if you knew where
snail,
to look.
waving snail. Even the story around Ice King, where he
Mhm.
started, off just really silly, but then
Later
over time,
on
his
becomes
narrative.
very tragic, very meaningful, and that crown. Oh my god, that crown.
Yes.
That
So
crown.
the show definitely hurt when Pendleton Ward silently exited the
Mhm.
production team, and I get it. I mean, if
Ito-
you want to show, was this the effect? A good example of an introvert like getting needing to retreat. I think that's what happened to Pendleton Ward.
Mhm.
Um,
And the show's the show's voice really vanished for a moment and eventually crawled back and found itself at the latter part.
yeah,
Because I remember after he left, we were struggling to enjoy it.
but
We-
I
we
think
were
season
like-
6 was a little
We
random.
were going through each episode and we're like, okay, this feels like it's trying too hard. This feels like it's weird. And then at some point later, okay, this is starting to feel good again.
Yeah, I mean the way the show wrapped up with like those big arcs of like islands and Marceline with the vampire
Mm.
thing was like definitely an effort to kind of tidy up and address things with very serialized stories. It still wasn't quite like the same as the
Mhm.
early days, but I think it was really good. And then Alfred mentions that his son's 5th birthday party is Adventure Time, and he cried with the last episode. Oh, I
Yes.
super cried too, especially It was so nice that Rebecca Sugar was able to come back
Yes.
and write music for the ending of the series. So will happen. Everything happened. It will happen.
Mhm.
Oh my god, that one. Yeah. Quick comments. Kenny said, "Remember when Gravity Falls was still new? Everyone was deciphering everything. Yeah, the whole clues at the end of every
Mhm.
episode. That was a fun cipher." David mentions Pendleton Ward created an empire and molded future legends.
That's true.
That is true. A lot of people who worked on Adventure Time went on to create their own amazing stuff, and some of them are on this list. The next,
One of them, which isn't, is Regular Show 2010.
I never got into the regular show, and I know a lot of people rave about it, like
I think,
an Adventure Time levels.
yeah, I
also.
think the interest in Regular Show connects with those who appreciated the music it was referencing.
maybe
Because
maybe.
Regular Show did have a lot of musicality in it, which was closer to, I guess, less folk like Adventure Time and more urban, more alternative, in the sense that if you were into that music, you'd be finding it awesome that here was a cartoon that tapped into it. I didn't get into it because I just didn't like their obnoxity. I mean, they were not
obnoxious they were.
yeah, they were not the type of obnoxious characters I wanted to follow. And when that happens, I get tired. I tune out.
This is how we're old people. Not saying, not enough patience for it. Okay. Yeah, Alfred mentioned because the 80s, 90s arcade scene. Yeah, see, then I think it's that musical connection that really drove it. Oh my
So we're
god.
skipping these.
No, it's 2018.
So this fits.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we
Oh.
have Disenchantment.
Why is it so high on this list? I really, really wanted to like Disenchantment more. But then I think it ties into that whole, it also felt too obnoxious. And then you couldn't really root for the lead character. And then the humor was kind of Simpson-esque because it's still Matt Groening, but then it's not quite the same either. And it didn't quite pull me in.
Yeah, for me, my problem was I didn't know what the show wanted to be. If I were to compare it, for example, to Gallivant is an
Gallivant.
obnoxious fantasy setting type of show with a character that you will hate. The lead was someone you will hate.
That's true.
And yet, it did it well because you still sort of got what the show is. Because the
Mhm.
world was sort of still consistent. You still kind of got it was this fantasy world. But with Disenchantment, everyone was weird. So no
Yeah.
one,
So nobody made sense.
yeah,
There was nothing to cling on to.
and since everything was weird, you just felt like it's too much weird, too much everyone is quirky, too much everyone's crazy. So I'm not really buying this anymore. Why it works, but that's me. I don't even understand the choice of choosing that demon-like figure as the sub character.
Mm.
Only because if you're already doing a fantasy world already, then why not a dragon? Why not a mythical creature? Why does it have to be this imp demon? Then if you wanted that, you should have just gone for a Salem setting or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me.
Skip down.
Moving, skipping. The Amazing World of Gumball 2011.
This is one of the things like I think I only appreciate it as memes, but I've never really sat down to watch the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll jump back to comments. David shares, Ed and I agree that Disenchantment is amazing at being perfectly mediocre.
Wow, that is an awesome summary of the show.
Ings also shares, I feel like I ended up finishing the first season of Disenchantment because it was available.
Yes, I'm a completist in terms of Netflix until I recently discovered you can remove shows from your currently watching row.
Wait, you can?
Yes.
I need to learn that.
So you don't need to finish it to clear it from your queue. But that used to be the thing. Like we'll just
So
finish
going back to Gumball, I'm not a fan of Gumball per se, but I am impressed with the artistic direction of that show.
Mm.
It is one of the few shows I've seen that has combined so many different art styles, from realistic photos to scribbles to voxel looking art and vector art into one single show, and it still works. It still makes sense. It's also oh my god, everybody's saying
I know
ow!
everybody's like, oh my gosh, guys.
Gumball also interestingly had surprisingly deep stories without really tackling it too much, so that catches you off guard. I'm sad I didn't quite connect with it as much as I wanted to, but I think for me again it was the case of too much obnoxious characters in a single show, and
I guess it also reflects like, okay, by this point in the 2010s, so Toby and I are already together, but we don't have cable. So and we're not watching Cartoon Network. So any show that we decide to watch was always like we had to deliberately choose to watch it. So that's the challenge there. Okay, commercial break, guys. So Netflix on your phone, right? And then you have your now watching view. Notice each of them has the letter I for information and a 3-dot menu. Click the 3-dot menu. The bottom option is remove from row, and you can't see it clearly, but guys, that's it. Oops. I almost removed the crown. Wait, but yeah, so that's how you remove stuff from your watching row. You're welcome. All right. Next on the list, oh my god.
BoJack Horseman 2014.
BoJack Horseman. So I know we couldn't talk about Archer because it didn't start in the 2010s. But then I kind of tried to get into Archer, but it got very tiring for me. BoJack Horseman started similarly. Like it felt obnoxious. I can't root for this guy. It's a little difficult, but I'm just curious about all these big name actors getting involved in the show. But as the narrative continued on, oh my god, this thing is super deep. And I think up until that point, or I think I really reached the point where I was telling Toby, like, this is like the most accurate depiction of like struggling with substance abuse I've seen, and it's a cartoon. So BoJack is amazing,
and not just BoJack's story, even the story arcs of the other characters, the weight gain,
yes, I mean like so there are many individual arcs that plot different things. The show had maybe the first like really good depiction of an asexual character, as crazy as he was, and this is considering his voice with the guy from Breaking Bad. But it's good stuff. And then I mean it's heavy. It's very heavy content. But if you now that the show is wrapped up, if you watch it from start to finish, it's a brilliant arc. It's a super brilliant character arc. and I mean, like, if you have the time, if you have the fortitude and the mental headspace for it, I will always recommend BoJack Horseman. And it had so many great like concept episodes. Like there's one of the ones that always stands out is that
speech.
no, well, there's that. There's one where the whole episode is a eulogy, and like, what the hell? The whole thing is a eulogy. There's the other one where he goes to an underwater city, and so there is no dialogue the whole time because he can't. They can't speak because it's all underwater. All these things. So the show is brilliant. The show is super brilliant. So I heartily recommend. But yeah, it's not a good binge show. You must pace yourself. It's very heavy. Next,
Steven Universe,
Yay!
2013.
Steven Universe is like, again, I think one of the best things to come out of Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Because Rebecca Sugar went on to make her own show. It started out like, okay, this is a strange superhero show.
So they're playing with the superhero tropes. They're
Yeah,
having
it's
a
like,
monster of the week.
Is this an older Powerpuff Girls? But then when it went on, wowzers.
From the basic mystery of, where's the mother? Where's Rose? Why are we having all these stories and Rose isn't there?
Yes.
It then stretches out to trying not to spoil things for those who still want to experience it, but there's a lot of world building that's eased out in small doses, and as you connect the parts to see the overall picture, it's an amazing story. Some parts might not make as much sense. Of course, we're like, why is everything a gem and all this and that. But then again, this is a cartoon, so you don't really have to dig in too much into it. But if you accept certain things the way they've been written, you will find such amazing stories from character connections, from characters with parallel stories or experiences, and how they connect or don't ever connect, and that changes how things are.
I think one of what always stands out to me for Steven Universe is that they set out. I mean, your title character, Steven Universe, is a child. He starts out as a child anyway, and he has a very optimistic, rose-colored rose-colored view of the world. But he has a very earnest and honest desire to like really reach out, help people, express love, find a way to make things work, seeing the good in everyone. And the way that they managed to keep him consistent to that belief, despite the fact that it is a show with a lot of fighting and action and enemies and stuff, is really the defining lesson of the show, that you need to that there's always a way, to still see the best in people, to let love power through. And the show is just amazing. It's sad that it's over.
The show has a movie, and the show later has the Steven Universe Future.
Yes,
which sort of tries to connect things. Both are not as smooth as the series, I will admit, for me, but they are vital to the overall story.
Yeah, I mean,
because they really address some of the realist questions. Like, after all that, are you really handling things? And all that is addressed nicely. Not as well as the series did.
The first series.
Yeah. I mean, the movie and the second series sort of had shaky parts at some points. But overall, it was still an enjoyable journey in the end.
Yeah, totally. So yes, Steven Universe. I have all the comics and some of the books. And I still haven't gotten the new art book, because that means I have to go out to fully book. And I'm not sure if I'm ready. But I will make an adventure trip there in time.
Paul shares Lars Uberol. Oh yes, that was fun.
Kenny thinks Steven Universe ended on a good time. Yeah, I think it was smart to end the show, to end the story. And that's the thing, that a lot of the best shows have endings, that they know they have an ending in mind and they get to that ending. So even Adventure Time, it meandered a bit, but once they decided to have an ending, then I think it came together and it made sense.
Next one is Big Mouth 2017. No idea.
I tried it on Netflix. I couldn't. And then maybe because I don't know. It's tiring narrative, and I just couldn't. I'm not a big enough fan of these people to keep watching it. And I know there's like people. I know there's certain comedians and celebrities who guested on the show or whatever and wrote for the show, and that gets me curious. But I just couldn't buy into it.
Legend of Korra, 2012.
Legend of Korra. So it's kind of sad we can't talk about Avatar, but the Legend of Korra is a 2010 plus cartoon, and it definitely had a harder time for us to get into it. The new world was exciting and different, but I don't know. Korra as a main character at the beginning was like I didn't super like her.
I did not like Korra in the first few episodes I've seen. I felt it was rough. I felt like they, what's the word, overlooked certain things they established in the previous series. In the previous series, every elemental style was very distinct. You know, you do these motions because that's how you use wind, the air, how you use fire. In Korra, in the earlier episodes, it felt like everyone was just doing the same hand motions for the elemental powers.
Yeah, there's like something about the distinctness of the different elemental types that was lost, and then it was like we're all mutants.
Yes, but as the series progressed, as the characters started to mature, and as the world building became more apparent, I started to appreciate it more. I never thought I would love the way metal bending was explored in the series until much later. I'm still not a fan of the sport concept they had,
which we have a board game of.
Yeah. And then the characters were still rough for me even in the end.
Yeah. And then as much as so David says season 3 and 4 were amazing. Season 1 and 2 were rough. I think that's generally like the agreement. Like season 1 and 2, I don't know what they were trying to do. And then they had the whole was it the equalists? The ones who didn't believe in the bending.
Yeah.
Was like an interesting angle, but then I think they didn't really know where to take it, and then eventually just abandon it. And then, but when they focused on Korra's role as the bridge with the spirit world, then it made more sense. Then we got more exciting episodes going back, and things like that. So yeah, a mixed bag. And then the ending, while with this, as per the writers, is canonically LGBT, but then again, it was felt only queer coded at the time of release, and only had to be explained after that. Hey, it's super gay. So, yeah.
Moving forward through the list, we have Ultimate Spider-Man 2012.
I watched some of this because I'm a Spider-Man fan, but then I don't know, all these Spider-Man cartoons of the 2000s all blend together in my head. I mean, I think I only really distinctly remember the Spider-Man back in the X-Men era, during when Fox was doing that big Power Hour of cartoons. But then this one was like, it's like, okay, but I can't tell it apart. And there's another Spider-Man on this list I remember, and I can't tell them apart. So
The Dragon Prince 2018.
So the Dragon Prince was one of those, I wanted to like it more because people got super excited because, of course, it's like the Avatar team doing something else. But I'm like, okay, I don't like super love it. And then the world is interesting, but not fascinating, if that makes sense. It never really pulled me in like, I want to find out more. I want to read reference books.
Yeah, Dragon Prince for me suffers from the same issues I had with Legend of Korra. Most of the characters were not really standing out or connecting with me, but many of the support characters were more interesting. In Dragon Prince, you had the deaf character, or was it mute? Okay, and now I'm confused. But then, just similarly in Korra, you had, oh my god, I had her name earlier. Now I forgot again. The metal bender with the scars. So. But yeah, the main characters basically were not connecting with me, and that's why I didn't connect with the show as much. Dragon Prince had an interesting world with the way the elves were connected to the moon and all this and that. But in the end, I can't help but feel like they were afraid to go too mature in the
Maybe.
topics they were tackling because they still wanted to still hit the younger audience?
Or is it because it's a Netflix show and it needs to follow the Netflix dictated,
There you go,
algorithmically
Lin May Fong.
suggested script? See, I don't like helping Toby when he forgets names. But thank you, David. Admittedly, Dragon Prince is like, was this in terms of like, if you remember our levels of TV watching, it's something we watch while we work.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's passive
it's
viewing.
background watching. Okay. Next on the list,
Star Wars Rebels.
it's a travesty. It is this low in this list.
2014.
Star Wars Rebels. I mean, to be fair, as a guy who was a big fan of Star Wars, The Clone Wars, which again was another show that it started rough, but then ended amazing.
We hated Rebels at the start.
Rebels was, oh my god, why is Ezra Aladdin? He was really a Disney Star Wars character. And then the Ghost crew was kind of quirky, but I couldn't quite get drawn into it. But then
as the story progresses and as the show realizes there's so much to pull from the other stories that have been told, so many ways to interconnect things. Oh my god, it's got so much better.
Yeah. So I mean, by the end of the first season, then it's like any diehard fan, especially if you're a big fan of the Legends, what is now the Legends continuity. Dave Filoni totally knew what you wanted and would pull more and more Legends content into the show. And the arc of Rebels is really the completion continuation of Ahsoka's arc that began in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
And how it all comes together. Amazing.
If you are currently enjoying The Mandalorian because there are so many homages, call-outs, and Easter eggs, you must get into Rebels.
Yeah, and
you
then
must take the time to watch the entire thing.
So I just feel bad that, and this is like a tangent already, that when Rebels ended and Star Wars Resistance came out, I just couldn't get into Resistance. And like, this is the first Star Wars show in a while I couldn't get into because it didn't also super connect to this era. It had to jump to like the Force Awakens era.
And then it felt very much like a Disney Junior product.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and I know there are still interesting references to Legends material and, classic, Star Wars material in that series, but I never could get into Resistance. Maybe when Disney Plus finally comes around, I will watch it again and finish the darn show. Yeah. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2012 one. Actually,
so this was the
fun.
CG one.
Yeah.
That had...
but they still had the classic character models.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had the distinct character models with one of them having a chip on the shell.
But they were the same quote-unquote body type. And I only have to set this distinction because of the more recent TMNT where they're very, very different characters.
And a very different art style.
And again, I underestimated the show at the beginning. I'm not going to lie because I just figured, what? Another Turtles reboot and it's on Nickelodeon. But when I finally really sat down to watch it and, oh, wow, I was amazed. And then the way they kind of played with old TMNT lore and made it something different. This is an awesome reboot for the franchise. And then this helped get me to want to read. So now I still read the IDW TMNT comics. Hey, so effective in that sense.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2017.
I think this is the one that already the Spider-Man was trying to be. Was this the what's his name? The new Spider-Man. It tried to connect to that characterization. I only watched a few episodes. I didn't really get into it. Kenny was asking, have we seen the cartoon adaptation for the Avengers? And I will ask, which one? Because there are many. I'm not sure if there's a 2010 one. And then the new series Scooby-Doo, I didn't really... No, I didn't watch that one.
There's Brickleberry 2012.
No idea what this
idea.
is. So sorry.
Harley Quinn 2019.
Have not seen it. I didn't... Is it really an ongoing series? I don't know.
I'm not aware of this one. This might be a movie and they just listed it here.
That's true for this particular website.
Okay, Star versus the Forces of Evil 2015.
I tried. I tried to get into it. It didn't hook me. Although I think I watched at least the first season, but it was just like I watched it without Toby. Wasn't super.
Oh, Paul says Harley is amazing.
Oh, Interesting. Okay. And then, but yeah, I mean, like, I get it. It was like cute. It had a lot of potential, I guess. I could see where it wanted to go, but I didn't get into it.
Voltron Legendary Defender.
2016. Again, this was I had a hard time with the first season.
It had promise, but then the key moment, which is the transformation sequence, totally did not feel awesome.
Yeah, and I think all the way to the end, like, I didn't like the music they used for the transformation.
It felt
wow,
like,
everybody likes Harley Quinn. We'll have to look for it now.
The Voltron Legendary Defender transformation moment sounded like it was using rejected music from the Tron Legacy cartoon. So they were just, okay, let's recycle this EDM music and use it here. But yeah.
But but to be fair, the ongoing story as it progressed was actually quite interesting. And then by the end, it was pretty good, but then it didn't exactly blow my socks off. So I still have a lot of respect for it. And Voltron is one of those shows that, like, it struggled also because it wasn't on Philippine Netflix. We knew it was a Netflix original, but then you'd have to go through other means to watch it, which made it all the more less tiring to watch it, less motivating to watch it. Oh, so that's where that King Shark moment came from. Okay,
there you
thanks.
go. Yeah. So we haven't seen this, but yeah, okay. We'll definitely try to spend time to see it. Symbionic Titan.
I feel bad because I know this is a Jendi Tartakovsky project, and I never watched it because, again, by this point we didn't have Cartoon Network, so I never got to see it. And I heard some good things about it, but it still wasn't like Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack level. So yeah, it's on a forever to watch list one day.
Cupcake and Dino General Services.
No idea what this is.
I think I glimpsed it when I was researching for it in a day job thing, and I ignored it afterwards.
Okay.
Axe Cop 2013.
I've only seen Axe Cop as a meme, but I've never bothered to look into the show.
Now we're checking the other list. Of course,
Community Regular, Gumball, Gravity Falls, TMM.
Oh, I think it's like the same items.
Yeah, because there's only so much.
Well, Sanjay and Craig.
What is Sanjay and Craig?
So it's the guy with his pet snake. Very stylized art. It has a lot of family story moments, but a lot of trippy story arcs that just make you question if this is still a children's show.
We should look at the honorable mentions also.
Yeah, I was familiar with it again because of my day job. I had to work on some concepts for that brand. In the end, it was not something I found myself interested in looking into more.
Oh, some of them are tricky. I don't know if they started in.
Yeah.
Not all of these in this list started in 2010. Rebels.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. So, are there suggestions for like other things?
So, someone mentioned Mystery Incorporated, which was the Scooby-Doo show, I think.
And I think a lot of my Transformers stuff were not on that list.
So, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated was a series that started in 2010. There you go. It had 2 seasons. I'm actually surprised at the longevity of Scooby-Doo. There is
because he's a Yutz.
I mean, there's a new board game, which is based on the Betrayal, the Mansion at the Hill, that uses Scooby-Doo. There is a different standalone Scooby-Doo board game.
Did you hear, Toby? What was that? Betrayal on the Mansion on the Hill?
So yeah, House on the Hill. Yeah. And then there's, if I remember correctly, there's another upcoming movie that's in the talks. So I'm just surprised how it's still really going. I guess people really just like Scooby-Doo. I would have wanted more Inspector Gadget than Scooby-Doo.
Okay, so one show that wasn't on the list also is Transformers Prime, which came out in 2010, which was very, very movie-tied. But I think the narrative kind of grew on me. I super enjoyed it as it progressed. And then the toys were great, but not like Transformers animated, distinct great. But it's still, there's a lot of love for that one. My only complaint was Soundwave did not talk, mostly, and then had, I swear, what felt like hentai tentacles. And there is way too much Soundwave adult content on the internet that make use of these tentacles. Everybody pointed, yes, strange, that list didn't have She-Ra and the Princess of Power.
Yeah.
I'm sure that fits in. Oh my God,
So
Shira has Shira has Steven Universe level feels for us sometimes.
yes.
And I know it's like for a lot of people had difficulty with it because it was so different from the original Shira. But again, the writing was great. The philosophy behind it, the fact, I mean, the core relationship of that cartoon was Shira and Patra,
Mhm.
and how, despite them being on opposite sides, it just played all the way through the end.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And the art catches you off guard because the art looks like it's simplistic and kiddie, but then they tell really good, complex, emotional stories despite the art. Other shows we missed include Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, that was 2010. Um, this felt so much like they wanted to do their own Green Lantern stories because you have the plumbers being the defenders of different sectors, and
mm,
the power allowing them to tap into different power sets by changing into a different alien form. So it was an interesting spin, and I'm surprised at the fact that it had a very strong following.
we don't have to go through this whole wiki, right? We'll just
Yeah.
pick and choose. Well, I'll cite there was Transformers Robots in Disguise in 2015. I couldn't get into this one. This was like too kiddie for me. I struggled. So sorry. It's right up there with Rescue Bots, which was deliberately preschool. So again, couldn't get into that one.
We
Oh,
cannot
wow.
ignore that there was My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic,
Oh wow.
2010. We never really got into it, but we hear so
respect-
much great stuff
I
about
respect the power of this franchise. That's all I can say.
it. We probably will have to look into watching it sometime in the future. There's
Wow, on a side note, there was a 2010 Pound Puppies. What the
Yeah.
heck? Okay, anyway, go on.
yeah, I'm trying to see what else here I want to talk about that we skipped in the list. Well, there's Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, 2010.
Was this? I always felt like a lot of the Marvel cartoons in the 2010s were kind of corny versus the DC cartoons in the same period,
Mhm.
right? So like the DCE expanded universe cartoons or the whatever original movie cartoons are all super awesome direct-to-video experiences, and then the similar Marvel stuff were like a mixed bag of like some were okay, some were like I mean like I just no. I think I super enjoyed more like Batman Brave and the Bold,
Mhm.
which was a really campy cartoon, but it was designed to be campy, and I love that.
We can't ignore animated movies.
Mm,
So we have Batman Under the Red Hood.
which was okay. I
It
mean,
was
like
okay.
it was a because the story in itself that they adapted from was like okay.
Despicable Me, of course.
Although I think I want to focus on the TV cartoons more, or at least, or we can include direct-to-video things, but like cinematic stuff. Yeah. I mean, for the 80s episode, we only focus on TV shows. To be fair.
Okay. So I'm ignoring the list.
Yeah, it becomes too big a thing if we include movies. Young Justice. When did Young Justice come out?
Young Justice is 2010
Young Justice was
with Cartoon Network for the first 2 seasons and then DC Universe for the next few seasons.
okay. Young Justice was tricky for me because I super love Teen Titans, and then not Teen Titans Go, but Teen Titans, and then Young Justice what became the follow up, and at the beginning part was kind of snoozy.
Mhm.
I gotta be honest. I didn't quite like the weird Junior Justice League mechanic, and then their mix of characters was weird. But over time, it got a lot better. I don't think we've been able to finish the when they finally came back and then had a last season. We haven't been able to watch that one, but I generally liked it. I generally liked it. It still wasn't my favorite. Super rough start. So that's all I can say about Young Justice. What else? Ducktales. Oh my God, that's true.
DuckTales is not on this list for some reason. Was it 2020 already?
I think hey, this one isn't it. It is literally shows that started in 2010. So you're gonna have to look for an equivalent for
okay.
each year. So DuckTales is super recent.
Okay.
I haven't been able to finish it because I'm still waiting. I used to watch it on that weird not Disney Plus thing that came along, and then it's gone. So I'm waiting for Disney Plus to finish it. But then I definitely super enjoyed the way that it tied to the old series, and I'm a big DuckTales 1980s fan. So this reboot is great. It's super great, and I'm super excited.
Bravest Warriors.
Oh,
I wanted to like
I
it.
wanted to like this, but then again, it was on more on the obnoxious side of things, and then it didn't help that a lot of the episodes, the seasons were like behind a paywall,
Mhm.
so it was hard to like fully appreciate it.
Looking through the list for anything else.
By
stands out.
that regard, then I'm sure we can also talk about B and Puppycat.
Yes.
B and Puppycat, it just has a YouTube thing. It's just super surreal.
That's Rebecca Sugar as well, right?
No,
no.
it's Alighieri.
Alligari.
Yeah, so B and Puppycat, I mean, again, the premise is like super bizarre. The fact that she has a, not sure if it's a cat or a dog named Puppycat,
That whistles.
and yeah, that talks and whistles, and then ends up doing side jobs
Mhm.
for money and stuff. But I love B and Puppycat, super. But again, it's one of those, the later seasons were behind a paywall, and it was hard to like watch all the episodes.
Yeah. So, Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans Go still has deep references to the show that came before it, but it's just so hard to watch it because it's so inane, dare I say. But I get it. It's really designed for a younger audience, and I just can't.
Well, if
fully
we're talking
appreciate
about inane, then that would be Uncle Grandpa, which is like
we had the crossover episode for Steven Universe, and that was already too much for me. I
Mhm.
just could not. I just could not.
quickly going through anything else that would be of interest. Over the Garden Wall. Oh my gosh, how can we forget this?
Well, it was mentioned earlier by David. I was hoping it would come out in the list, and maybe
Yeah.
because it was a limited series.
2014.
Over the Garden Wall is like everybody's. It should be everybody's Halloween tradition at this point. Like you
Mhm.
must watch it. We continue to make reference to it. I
Hey,
still
Mitch.
want to sing potato and molasses. So, but again, it's a great example of a concise story with a beginning and an ending, and the concepts are just insane. There are some expanded universe content in terms of comic books, and I've read them. They're cool, but then there's really not much else to add. Like the core
Mhm.
stuff is yes. Thank you, David. Rock fracks are important.
Infinity Train.
We still haven't gotten started on Infinity Train, and I feel bad. We will, but we haven't. Then on that same virtue, there's Transformers Cyberverse, which is a mainly YouTube series, which again very kiddie kind of oriented, but then on the long run, wow, super deep cut references to expanded
Mhm.
Transformers lore, including IDW comics continuity. It's great. It's great. I super like it. I try. It's just hard to keep up with it because it's a YouTube release, and they haven't really organized their seasons well in a playlist. So then I'm constantly trying to figure out where the next episode is.
Yeah, and then where Gravity Falls failed, I feel Hilda succeeds.
The Hill.
Hilda.
Oh, Hilda.
Yes.
Yes.
Hilda.
Hilda is just super charming, delightful. I want to find the original comics that it was based on,
Mhm.
which I know are not in English. But yeah, I think that to Toby's point, we definitely had that initial comparison to Gravity Falls, but Hilda does things so much better without. But it doesn't have a big like scary meta plot.
Mhm.
Kenny asked me, "Have you seen Craig of the Creek?" Nope, no idea what that is. Have you?
No.
Okay. No.
Big Hero 6, the series. We never got into that.
Never got to see it.
Castlevania and Netflix.
Oh.
I will not say much. You can say more.
Castlevania rides on the power of the IP that it's using. So nostalgia is very strong, and if you love the Castlevania games, then you will have something to enjoy in the cartoon because it has a lot of good references. But then when you take away a known IP and then you slap on, and they try to make their own story, you get Blood of Zeus from the same studio, which was just empty, where everybody has the same dead eyes. And
if you hit a pillar of marble, it will make a metal sound.
yeah, so the Foley decisions for that show is super terrible.
It's questionable.
The fights
Very questionable.
have no weight. So
Future Worm.
I don't know Future Worm.
You don't know Future Worm?
I don't know Future Worm.
Future Worm was a Disney XD show, which was pretty much if the Waving Snail had a series of its own, it would be Future Worm.
Okay.
Very strange and yet very time traveling lunchbox and all this and that.
Okay.
Justice League Action.
Oh, I didn't look into that. I did not look into that. I think it was because it was kind of kiddie. So yeah. Oh, this is the era of like all these Lego shows, and they're just trippy.
And I think this is the era where a lot started to learn they could do animation through CG cartoons. So suddenly there's this surge of different cartoons. Troll Hunters was one that I know many people really enjoyed.
We tried the beginning, and then it didn't hook us. I mean, we'll probably eventually watch it, but I don't know. And Mitch is asking any anime. Probably not. Only because it's
We're
really not
the smart cartoons.
And
now.
well, although anime are technically cartoons, but then also we also don't watch a lot of anime. I gotta admit.
Loud House, if you like slice of life type of comedy, it's about a guy with 11, if we're 10 sisters. So it's a lot of family comedy hijinks. And I guess that's last page for me. What we shouldn't skip Alamat 2015. A fantasy anthology broadcasted GMA Network.
Oh, no idea that one.
Never saw it.
Oh, Green Lantern was 2012 to Paul's question, and it was like okay. I think it wasn't super amazing. It was definitely better than the movie.
How about Danger Mouse 2015?
It was okay, but I couldn't go in as deep into it only because I also recognized that I was very, very young when I liked the original Danger Mouse. And the new cartoon was really just too young for me.
Harvey Beaks?
No idea what that is.
Isn't that the... Oh, wait, I'm mistaking it for something else.
Okay.
Yeah, Harvey Beaks was a Nickelodeon thing. I worked on it on a project. Thunderbirds are go. Oh my god, we almost forgot that.
Okay. Thunderbirds are go revived my love for Thunderbirds. I used to love the marionette show. I was a little disappointed that it was a CG series, but then it was a mixed media series. So it's CG characters, but then for some of the big sets, they still use miniatures. So it was quite awesome. And so I'm a weird Thunderbirds nerd. This is a harder show to get into because it was a British series on ITV. Distribution is not easy in the Philippines, but it's super great because then you really have to try to appreciate the fact that International Rescue, the agency at the core of Thunderbirds Argo, is really dedicated to rescue. And they have these amazing vehicles that have no weapons. So it's always non-lethal, non-combat ways.
Non-confrontational.
Yeah, of dealing with these big disasters. And, when you're facing against the likes of the Hood, who has no qualms shooting at the Thunderbirds, it's a weird conundrum. But the show still works. It's a nice revival of the series. The humor is very particular, I gotta admit. Just looking at Lady Penelope and Parker, oh my god! I mean, and they're so of course because it's CGI. They're a lot more animated than they were in the original marionette series, which were super marionettes. But it's still good stuff. I super love Thunderbirds Are Go.
And then I guess to end the episode, We Bears.
We Bears.
So that was a show. That was a series which we liked.
I think the premise was like the look was cute. The first season was fun, but even though it was episodic, but yeah, as it progressed, like it just got tiring. And then like these bears have no growth.
Yeah, they don't ever become better from what they've gone through. I mean, after all,
I think maybe at most maybe Ice Bear, but then again, he was always just Silent Waters Run Deep forever.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, We Bears. The concept is great. The characters are great. But then after episode after episode after episode of Panda being so self-absorbed, of
Grizz being a bit of a jerk,
Grizz being an a-hole ultimately, Ice Bear's the only one with any redeeming values. But then now they made Ice Bear have all these moments where he's like a druggie or an addict. Which,
yeah, those are weird angles.
which I know maybe it's just meant to be comedy, but you know, as you grow to like these characters, it's sad that as the series progressed, they became more and more caricatures rather than fully embodied. To the point that when the movie came out, it's like they went back to their basic personalities,
Yeah.
which was very mababaw, and that was very frustrating because they had some great stories.
Yeah. So it's a shame. It's a shame, and like I get that this is one of those shows that it meandered, and then the ending just ended, and then it wasn't fulfilling
Mhm.
because the characters had no growth. So it really was designed to be just an episodic experience, I guess, and just being funny.
Yeah.
But even then, the humor just got really dry later on. So I think more people, especially in queer circles, just like celebrating We Bear Bears because there is a bear community. But yeah, it's just meh at the end.
Mhm.
Kenny says We Bear Bears doesn't have small character growth and world building like Gumball. But okay, then maybe we have to really think about giving Gumball a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why it also got very repetitive. And then, hey Mitch, I hope you enjoy Thunderbirds because then the board game will make more sense. But remember, the board game is not based on the new cartoon.
And then some that we totally skipped over. There's Agresuko.
Oh, Agretsuko.
Yeah.
That's like guilty pleasure watching for me. It's super crazy. And I have fun with it, but then of course it's still like small doses. It's like I can't watch it all the time. What else?
I guess that's pretty much it as far as I have on the top of my head.
Yeah, do you guys have anything else you wanted to ask us our opinions on and stuff? But then, but yeah, Kenny's strongly recommending the whole Craig of the Creek thing because it has a D&D aspect. And there was that weird one that Netflix had was like The Hill or something where it was, or I forgot what it was called, but the one that felt like it was a game show. And then, what was it called? I'm like now checking. Literally looking at Netflix, and I can't remember what it was called. The Hollow? Is it The Hollow?
No, I'm not sure.
I think it's The Hollow. Let me see. Hollow. Yeah, it's The Hollow.
It's a hollow.
Yeah, The Hollow was like it felt like a game show thing. I wanted to like it more. The premise had interesting moments, but then it just ended on a whimper. And I think it has another season, but
I see.
yeah. We watched it. We watched it together. Then it was just kind of like, okay, that ended. Netflix has a lot of weird like cartoon content that some I can get into, others I can't. Mitch, Avatar, we can't talk about it technically because it started in 2005, so it's earlier than the 2010s. We did talk about Korra.
It's the hollow. Yeah, I remember.
You remember now, right?
Yeah, seeing it. Because when you said reality TV, I was thinking more this. Sorry, game show. I was thinking more this other one wherein they were all like on an island, but that was a different cartoon.
Yeah, so I think our core like animated series to watch list at the moment is that we're gonna get started on Infinity Train soon. Hey Andre, we're wrapping up. So Infinity Train is something we're gonna get started on. We're excited.
Carmen Sandiego. Oh my God,
wow.
we missed Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, I just saw it now. Okay, Carmen Sandiego is generally fun, although I'm worried this last season is having a hard time because like it was okay, but I initially had a challenge getting into the premise, but then I bought into it, and I like this whole this double life of
Carmen.
Carmen is still being perceived as a villain by the law, but then we see that she's really not. But then still, she was trained to be a thief, and it still kind of makes sense with the original computer games and the like. So I can respect that. But yeah, I was saying we're excited for Hilda's next season coming out.
Yes,
we're going to watch. We're definitely going to watch Infinity Train soon. What is Total Drama Island? No idea.
Yeah, I think that's it. So Total Drama Island is the reality show cartoon.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I tried Green Eggs and Ham on Netflix too, and then it was strange, difficult and strange. As someone who likes Dr. Seuss. I wasn't prepared for the 50-word book to become a miniseries. So whatevs. All right. Yeah, this has gone a while.
But I think that's pretty much it. Final Space was the other one that we skipped, which was a Netflix show that had a sci-fi aspect to it.
Oh no,
And the
that was
Midnight
tiring.
Gospel.
Midnight
I
Gospel.
think we can close with the Midnight Gospel.
Midnight Gospel is like trippy Pendleton Ward stuff because ultimately it's a podcast.
Yes, it started as an audio podcast, right?
And then they made they made animation around it.
And added new material.
Yeah,
Work with it.
but the animation does not tie directly to the podcast topics. It is just, oh, you're right, it's 2020. Okay.
So it's officially we're not supposed to add this in the list. Sadly.
Okay. Okay.
So
bad.
so if we're gonna have an episode, 2020 cartoons, Midnight Gospel. That's it. But yeah, oh my gosh.
So we can't talk about it until
That's sad.
2021.
That's sad.
I don't know, is this 2030, 2031?
But the duck has sounded, and that means we must wrap up. Yeah, I guess this one's also 2020. Oh, 2018, Super Drags.
Oh, because it's not in English. I mean, the original is not in English, and then it was dubbed.
Yeah. Okay.
That was painful, though. But it's a different cultural context, I'll say. If you're gonna want to watch Super Drags, you're better off watching A Queen is Born, the reality series.
Yes.
That's better stuff from that same continent. Okay.
And I will still cheat if there's if there's only one thing you can watch after one new cartoon to watch after watching this episode and you haven't seen Hilda, it has to be Hilda. But if you already have seen Hilda, then watch Midnight Gospel.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
That is more than 30 minutes. So much more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun and we hope you'll join us.
And I
again
kept
next
thinking
time.
this would be a short episode, but then we had a deficient list, so then we had to find the rest of the stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching. And then if you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Remember that we are interviewing Precious, Paul, and Nicole this Friday. It's really going to happen now, for reals.
Yes.
So if you have questions for Precious, you can also use the form, or you can direct message either of us, and we will compile these questions and ask them during the show. Or better yet, you can also join us live and ask your questions directly. If it's anything like what happened with MC and Turing, then we know that these things are going to run for several hours as we all have fun.
Bring your own drinks.
Bring your own drinks. It's a Friday night. You can follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, RG Suniko.
You can also check out our blog, that's baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Yes, so feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. What cartoons did you like from this particular decade? What stands out and all that? And if you have more recommendations for us, we'll try to get around to watching them. I don't know if we're going to watch Gumball, even though people keep saying we should.
Or My Little Pony.
My Little Pony.
We have to try. We have to.
Put it. Is it on Netflix? I feel like I'm more likely to watch it if it's easy to stream because I'm old and I don't want to look for it anymore. Okay, so be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Have a good evening, everyone.
Stay
We gotta
animated.
work tomorrow.